What's going on, you guys? This is your boy RBG, aka the Random Black Gamer, bringing you another video on Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Since Spike Chunoft has rolled out an official roadmap on things that we're going to be seeing, I wanted to talk about something that they briefly previewed but didn't explicitly say what it was. And I have a nagging suspicion that it could be tied to the story mode, aka episode battle, and we're going to talk about it today. Now, before we get started, I want to thank ExpressVPN for sponsoring this video and for keeping my online information safe. I think we can all agree that the internet has become a godsend for us, and it's hard to imagine what life would be like without it. It's pretty much the digital land of opportunities, which can be a good thing for us. However, it can also be good for those individuals seeking the opportunity to invade your personal data space. Thankfully, ExpressVPN makes it to where you don't have to wonder when your day of being hacked will ever come, because it wraps your traffic in an encrypted tunnel, making you a hacker's worst nightmare. It also prevents your browser history from being sold to companies that want to bombard you with ads. But that's not all it does. ExpressVPN also makes your online streaming experience unlimited. I can't count how many times I've looked up a movie or TV show I wanted to watch, only to discover that I can't because the platform it's being streamed on blocked me because it's only available in other countries. But I no longer deal with that since ExpressVPN allows me to change my IP address to any of 105 countries, giving me access to thousands of shows and movies on popular streaming services like Netflix and Disney+. So what are you waiting for? Protect your digital footprint and watch all of your favorite movies. You can do so by going to www.expressvpn.com/randomblackgamer to find out how you can get up to 4 extra months thanks to our sponsor, ExpressVPN. But yeah, guys, now that things are officially heating up with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, I feel like it's high time that we go into a deep discussion revolving some of the modes we're going to see in the game. Because it was something that was briefly featured in the update trailer without disclosing too much information, and initially I was a bit disappointed that we weren't going to go further in details in that regard, but after giving it some thought, I feel like this is a great thing because I don't think people realize how much work goes into developing a game and all of the different modes for it. There is a lot of time that goes into that, especially with trying to build a foundation that's going to be edited later on down the line with updates and DLCs. That's something that made me feel like, oh yeah, this is something that we should really be thinking about, because one of the biggest complaints that I don't think Bandai Namco or Spike Chunoft saw coming was the fact that they didn't deliver in regards to things like the story mode / episode battle. I feel like they prioritize the online components more because this is a modern age where people like to play others online in competitive or pickup games, which, don't get me wrong, that is something that's deeply desired by a lot of players because that's something that we wanted back in the day with Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3, and we were bummed when we found out it was exclusive to the Wii. But we knew we were at least covered when it came to the story mode and other features, which provided a lot of hours in replayability. And I can't leave out the local PvP split screen mode, which funny enough was almost left out of Sparking Zero, but was ultimately added in along with the stages that were absent upon its initial release. You know, seeing things like that made me realize that Spike Chunoft kinda underestimated the offline elements of Dragon Ball Z games. And that goes for developers within the fighting game genre in general. They don't necessarily take into account how many players would rather just play a story mode as opposed to jumping online. And that's one of the reasons why we saw a lot of games in the past like Street Fighter V hurt, and why they came back with a vengeance with Street Fighter VI with its World Tour mode, where it allows players to explore 3D environments like Metro City and interact with world warriors from the past and present. This is one of the reasons why the Mortal Kombat series sells so many copies, because people look forward to their story mode. Not to mention that they don't neglect their casual audience. While it is important to retain those core players who have been there since the very beginning, it's also important to bring in casual players because they're new to the game, not to mention that they come in bigger numbers, which translates to big sales. This is why I firmly believe that Dragon Ball FighterZ would have sold more copies had Arc System Works put more time into the story mode, because a lot of players, including myself, don't necessarily care about being the best in the world. We care more about going back and experiencing those things that we witnessed in the anime and manga. And I know a lot of people are going to say that, oh, you guys have experienced these things over and over. It's the most regurgitated, rinse and repeat thing about the Dragon Ball Z titles, but that's no longer an excuse anymore because Dragon Ball has since moved on with things like Dragon Ball Super, Daima, as well as the newest movies. So there is plenty of activities to experience up in the story mode, not to mention that even though we have experienced those old sagas over and over in previous titles, there's always going to be something that was left out or could have been done better. So yeah, that's my little rant on that. But anyways, in regards to this new undisclosed mode that Spike Chunoft has been teasing, during their new DLC showcase, they mentioned that they had mainly focused on adding new playable characters, but they mentioned that they wanted to offer content that delivered a deeper Dragon Ball experience. So they decided to include other things outside of just the additional characters, such as costumes that'll not only serve as a cosmetic, but also alter the techniques of certain characters. And we'll be receiving new stages from the past and present. As you guys are aware, some of these stages were featured in the game, particularly the story mode, but for whatever reason weren't featured in Versus Battle. And I feel like the future is bright when it comes to these things, because like I said, Dragon Ball Z is this ever evolving, ever expanding type of story, and we're going to be seeing other new things brought to the table, such as manga chapters that have yet to be adapted into the anime. We can look forward to things like that. We're going to see the granolas, and we're also going to see the moros, so yeah. But this particular part of the DLC trailer had me very interested, because as you can see, we have our boy Goku standing in what looks to be some type of free roaming mode. And I don't know about you guys, but when I saw this, I got heavy Dragon Universe and heavy Dragon Adventure vibes, which were campaign modes from Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 and Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2, where players were allowed to freely fly around the earth in Namek and find Dragon Balls, as well as experience different moments from the TV show and movies. Not only were they fun, but they also had a high level of replayability due to the events in the game potentially changing from the playthrough. For example, when you play Dragon Universe and you go through Goku's first playthrough, the majority of the story proceeds as it does according to the anime, but things were subject to change upon your second playthrough based on the choices you made, such as Goku's fight with Frieza suddenly changing into a fight with Cooler, or running into Broly after having a fight with Super Buu. All of those things made it to where it just kept us on the edge of our seat, and it made us want to explore the game even deeper to see what other kind of secrets they were hiding. Same can be said for Dragon Adventure and Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2. Based on the outcomes, things are bound to change, and you're able to do other things too, like what if scenarios. Not to mention the added addition of being accompanied by other fighters. Like, what's not to like about that, man? Not that many games are doing that nowadays. Like, I think the only one that is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot's, but we need that done to fighting games as well. And looking at this image makes me believe that we are going to get some form of that. I'm not saying that it is going to be similar to what we got with the Universe and Adventure mode, but I'm hoping that it is. Another thing that you'll notice about this image is the overlay of a map that features certain characters and locations. This is known as the Dragon Ball Earth map, and when you look at this image of Master Roshi, you can see that he's in the hyperbolic time chamber that's located above Korin's tower in Kami's Lookout. And as you see, it's accurate to the location provided on this official map. And when you move over to this location right here, which is the marker for Goku, you can see that he's in the plains where Cell first arrives from the future. Move on over further to the right, and you can see him in an area where it looks to be the Cell games. And finally, we have Vegeta wearing his original Saiyan armor in the same area that he originally fought Goku. So as you can see, guys, each one of these locations that the characters are featured in is accurate to the Dragon Ball map. The only question that I have is why Master Roshi, particularly the super version, is in the hyperbolic time chamber. Like, the only thing I can think of is that he probably went there to train for the Tournament of Power, since it was revealed that he had been secretly training before he was turned into a Kang Shi in Dragon Ball Super. It didn't particularly say how he was training, but that's just my guess. But anyways, when I look at this, I think of so many different possibilities. Like, all of these landmarks were featured in iconic moments for Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super, and I can see Spike Chunoft adding a twist to it to where they make it to where certain things might change based on your actions. Like, how would the world be if you got to Cell on time before he hatched out of his egg and made his way to the city? Or there can be multiple things going on at once that you'll have to decide which one is the most urgent thing to attend to. Like, you also have these icons that feature a question mark and an exclamation mark. Like, what could those possibly mean? Could that mean that a secret item is waiting for you to grab? Or could it be that some mystery fighter is waiting for you and they're gonna ambush you? I'm kinda hoping that they allow you to do what you did in Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2, where you can land on certain parts of the map and find fighters that you can recruit on your team to help you gain an advantage over the next fighter that you're gonna face off against. And if they want to make things a little more challenging for the experienced sparking players, they can add those side challenges that feature some of the most difficult battles that feature these characters that you wouldn't expect to beat you down, but they are extremely hard to fight fight. And I know this is a bit of a controversial take, but I hope that they do add certain things from Budokai Tenkaichi 3's Dragon history. Like, I know that that's everybody's least favorite story campaign for a Dragon Ball Z sparking game, but I do appreciate the fact that you had the option of pressing this button prompt that allowed you to activate this in-game cutscene where it shows a canonical battle, or you could simply choose not to and finish the fight the way you wanted. I feel like that would make the episode battle mode for Sparking Zero a lot more interesting, and it can make up for those lazy cutscenes that they had in the form of these flash images. Like, that's a big no-no when it comes to Dragon Ball Z. We want to see our favorite moments replicated in some kind of form of cinematics. When I first played that mode, I was expecting to see the same thing I saw with that opening intro. I thought we were at least going to get some cutscenes like that. But if they can't go that route, they can at least try to take a page out of Tenkaichi 2's book, because Tenkaichi 2, instead of just going with cinematics, they used the pre-existing in-game character models to make them repeat certain actions that were done in the manga and anime. So there's no excuse why Spike Chunoft is cutting corners in that particular area. But with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. What do you guys think about this new mode? Do you think that it could be a new story mode or something that's added into episode battle? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, I ask that you like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, you can give me a thumbs down. But if you really enjoyed this video, it would help me out tremendously if you shared it with all your friends and followers on all the different social media outlets. Sharing really makes a difference. But once again, this is your boy RBG, aka the Random Black Gamer, signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.